around the body. She had only met the man that day. She had no history with him. I mean, you don't meet somebody and say, hello, here, I'm going to kill you. So, I mean,
just because you're a jerk.
It's a day to find out how much of a jerk.
If you think about it, that is why Roland was killed. He was going to, Betty or Elizabetta was going to get a bad review. You're going to kill somebody because of a review?
Yes.
Well, Millicent kind of said that was the straw that broke the camel's back. Well, so we'll give her credit for that.
But Millicent had a screw loose or 2 or 7 or 8. The characters that were written in the book, some of them I really, really liked. I liked Judith and I liked Willa. I liked that dynamic.
I thought they were all pompous.
Well,
other than Tad.
I didn't like Simone. She was
extremely pompous.
Well, she was written that you weren't supposed to like her. I know, you weren't
supposed to like her. Then we come to this mysterious
Thorn and Rose.
She didn't know what it was at first. It looked like X's and, well,
I thought it always looked like a thorn.
No, she didn't know what it was.
Like a circle of thorns around a rose. That's what I pictured.
Yeah.
But it was stylized, so she couldn't tell what it was at first because it looked like scratches at first.
Well, at first it was an embossing.
Right, it was on a knife. It was on a knife.
Well, she didn't know that. The first time that Lila saw it, it was in the book that hit Judith on the head. And then Callista said, oh, that's the same symbol that's on my knife.
That was in Roland's chest.
Right. Yeah.
But then she gets the rose pattern on her necklace that she receives in the mail. It's written all over the walls in her office as
in red paint or something.
Yeah. How Millicent could get in there, completely destroy her office, write all this red paint all over the walls, not get a drip on her, and go back out and finish typing.
Maybe she did it in her off time.
She was only she went to the faculty meeting and then came back. It was...
I don't remember.
If I was Callista, I would have been calling a lawyer right away.
Oh, yeah.
There is no way she would have been arrested just because she had the knife in her office.
Well,
her fingerprints were on the knife.
Well, Norton made sure she was suspected because
it was her knife, though. That's what I mean. Now,
well, her fingerprints, her knife, it's in his chest.
Yeah, but it was stolen.
Uh-huh.
When was it stolen? Oh, today. Yeah.
I really didn't remember to tell the police that.
Right.
Where I have a problem with mysteries like this is when you get to the end of a book and all is revealed just because the person who did it tells you everything. There's really no mystery.
I like a challenge. I like to know what I'm working towards, and you didn't get any information to help you solve it. I like figure it out before the story ends. This is the one who did it.
Well, I did do some of that. Like I said, on Millicent's desk when she had the flowers with a card that said B, that gave me pause. I stopped to think, because, in mysteries, that's what you're looking for, clues. And then when Lila would overhear people talking like Spencer and Norton, you would think, okay, well, what is this? But none of it really meant anything.
No, it didn't. It was
a lot of red herrings, I suppose.
Red herrings,
nowhere.
Yeah, and I guess that's what a red herring is. Some of them were just...
But they're supposed to give you...
They're supposed to be a misdirection, still kind of
bring you back.
And this never brought you back. They were all dead ends.
Right. And then there's the situation of the room in the basement.
A round room in a
storage.
In a storage. It's like a storage basement that apparently the literary club used right off this secret room. There's a storage room where the literary club was storing books to sell during homecoming. So not so secret, if you ask me.
Well, the other thing is, and we in our discussion before we started, if this university had an attack, 2 people murdered, another professor attacked, and they still went ahead with their social events. They still have the parties, they still have the costume party, they still had the homecoming bonfire. They had nothing stopped because of this murder
and attack on Judith.
Right, but that happened at the Halloween party.
But still,
that was
the
her
teachers' party. Right.
Eldon was killed at the Halloween party.
That's right.
Yeah, this was just the academic get-together. It just floored me. Here, Roland is killed, and life goes on. Like, I'm thinking, wow, they
really didn't like him. Right.
And even if they didn't like him, just the idea, and he was killed under mysterious circumstances, nobody seemed to worry whether were they next or...
Right. And the biggest worry was, at least as far as Lila was concerned, is what was this cross and rose pattern? What did it mean? She asks everybody. Nobody knows what it means. Nobody says, better you don't know, or something. Just...
I guess the premise of the Briar Rose Society, as they called it, was kind of a throwback to
Sleeping Beauty.
Yeah,
that's what it was.
Yeah, but it was kind of old-fashioned. Like the secret society meets, but
the oppression of women. That's what they were in literature and in academia. The big background of this book is the tenure process. And Kathy actually did a little research on what tenure means. We all know that means a teacher has to stay with a university or school for a certain period of time to reach tenure, but I think there's a little more to it.
Oh, there's a lot more than that. It's not just time.
The tenure process originated in 1940 by the American Association of University Professors. It's endorsed by over 250 scholarly and higher education organizations. A university hires a faculty member with the expectation that they will fulfill the tenure process within a set number of years. Tenure process includes research publication, the ability to attract grants, academic visibility, teaching excellence, and administrative or community service. It's intended to be a safeguard for academic freedom, allowing faculty the ability to teach and publish research findings without risking termination. If professors fear the loss of their jobs, they would be unlikely to address certain controversial issues. For instance, Mark Edwards, a professor of civil engineering at Virginia Polytech Institute and State University, discovered the high levels of lead in Flint, Michigan's water supply in 2015. Edwards set up a website sharing his findings with the public and holding the government accountable. Academic freedom and tenure protects professors like Edwards from the risk of discipline, dismissal, or silencing when their work offends powerful business or government interests. Detractors of the tenure process point out that academics are forced to adhere to a level of qualification that matches those of the people awarding the tenure statuses. For instance, any theoretical physicist who wants tenure must join the field of string theory, whether they want to or not, because string theory is the leading theory. Also, it rewards complacency. Once tenure is awarded, a professor may put less effort into their job, knowing they cannot be terminated early or easily. It is also reportedly highly stressful and competitive and is being questioned as the best process for achieving academic freedom right now.
Yes, my job at the university I worked at was procuring grants for some of these doctors. It was medical school. The pressure that they were under to get grants was it was mind-blowing. We had one doctor commit suicide when his grant was declined. It was his last chance for tenure, and he committed suicide because he couldn't face the shame, I guess, or the ridicule.
Well, I liked what Judith said. She said it's publish or perish.
Exactly. You have to get certain, and like the one woman in the book, I can't remember which one it was, had published something in Roland. In that. It
Well,
was
it's
not
like,
one of his proved.
Lila wanted to do her dissertation on Isabella Dare,
Right.
and he didn't approve of that.
He didn't
Well,
like
she's
any
female.
woman.
Yeah.
He didn't want any woman author.
Well, he
And-
also, this was one of the red herrings that led to Tad being a suspect, was he
And being arrested.
and being arrested, was that Roland really very strenuously tried to deny him tenure. And once Tad's father kind of stepped over Roland's head and got him tenure anyway, Tad did publish his work somewhere, but again, it wasn't Roland's approved list of publications.
Right.
So
But he was actually arrested because he was found with a knife in his hand. He
He thought he
trying
was
to
still
pull it
alive.
out.
He was trying to
At
save
Eldon.
him.
At Eldon.
Eldon.
Yes.
He was arrested for Eldon. Callista was arrested for Roland.
I think everybody would have hated both
I
of
think
these
Archer was
people.
just going to round them all up eventually.
Yeah, he was going to go
and maybe
one
he
to
would
one.
luck out and get the right one.
Yeah. Well, both of these men were less than perfect.
But that's
Less
when you
than
knew they
perfect.
were going to be killed.
Yes, they were
It's-
very
and-
obvious victims.
And everybody had a motive to kill them.
Yeah.
Yeah, because that's what you need in a book. You
I
need
mean, on
somebody that multiple people want to murder.
That's what makes it a cozy.
Yeah.
You know, you have an obvious victim there. I mean, when he walked out and threw the papers on Millicent's desk, file this. You know, I've had bosses like that. You
But
wanna
if I
pick
was
it up and-
Lila, I would have quit. I mean,
I
my
would have
goodness,
too.
she'd only been there a couple weeks, and she'd been somebody had tried to murder her multiple times. Somebody's tried to
Somebody take the hint. You're not
push
wanted.
library stacks over on top of her.
I
And,
forgot about that.
Yeah. That.
But all in all, it's a good beach read. It's a good, I don't want to really think too much type book, and you just need something to read.
Yeah, it was an enjoyable
You're a commuter
story.
and you ride the
just-
bus. This would be a great book
We
for that.
analyze a little too much.
But that's what our job is. We read mysteries and we come back and tell you what we think, and we have to, the good, the bad, and the
we
ugly.
can't love everyone.
What I felt about the book and the characters, I really liked the diversity of the characters in Cynthia's book. They represented a broad spectrum of society. There were a couple of women who were cousins, and then there were a very elite couple, which was Judith and Spencer. They were always so well put together. Then there was Tad. He was gay, and Elizabetta was gay. She had an interracial relationship. So it really was a broad spectrum of society.
Yes, it was that part of the book I approved of. It was very well put together as far as your characters were.
I learned that for being an elite university, that their security system was very lax. And if I had a child that went there, I would be mortified that classes were continuing and people were dropping like flies.
Well, to be fair, the students weren't dropping. It was the faculty.
Yeah.
Yeah, it
but-
was the faculty. Those
Yeah.
You
students
know,
were
if somebody
perfectly
gets killed
Yeah.
somewhere else, they lock it down.
Yes. Especially in today's world. They're going to lock down everything. But you don't keep having parties, and those are more subdued after something like that. Especially the faculty get-together, the party that they had. Why would you still have that? I mean, you'd go to a memorial service or have a...
Well, they did
They-
have
they-
one
they
of
had a
those.
memorial.
Yeah, but it was... You don't keep the social calendar whirling as usual.
Or maybe you do.
Well, what
Well-
did you learn, Kathy?
I learned that even in an academic setting, people are people and they have their own personalities and their own agendas, and they're just like any other people in any other profession. And
I learned that a university, a name does not make it great. That worked. Okay.
Now
So
it's time to announce our next book.
Force of Habit by Alice Louisi. It's her first book in her Falcone and Driscoll investigation.
Julia Falcone is convinced she's going to hell. First, because she left the convent. Second, her new job with a private investigator has her sneaking around and lying. Adjusting to life in the outside world isn't easy. Makeup, dating, and sex are all new to her. And despite a crush on her boss, Frank Driscoll, a foul-mouthed, soft-hearted ex-cop, Julia is sure he'd never fall for an ex-nun. Her first case involves drop-dead handsome Blake Parker, a man with immense wealth and an ego to match. He and his fiancée are getting disturbing gifts, quote-unquote, with messages based on biblical verses. When Julia is drawn into the